The Earth is not silent. It speaks through volcanoes, whispers through shifting tectonic plates, and sometimes it screams through anomalies so bizarre they seem to challenge the very laws of nature. Around the globe, certain places defy scientific explanation, leaving even seasoned geologists shaken. This is not a story of myths or legends. This is about real, documented geological phenomena that continue to terrify, confuse, and mesmerize those who study the Earth. It begins in the heart of Turkmenistan, in a place locals call the door to hell. In 1971, Soviet geologists were drilling for natural gas in the Karakum Desert. They struck a cavern filled with gas pockets. The ground beneath the rig collapsed, forming a crater over 200 feet wide. Poisonous methane gas began leaking into the air. To protect nearby villages, scientists decided to ignite the gas, expecting it to burn off in a few days. That was over 50 years ago. Today, the Darvazagas crater is still burning, a raging fire pit in the middle of nowhere, glowing orange day and night, surrounded by scorched desert. Tourists who stand near it describe the feeling as otherworldly, like staring into something alive, something breathing. The heat singes the skin even at a distance. The ground rumbles faintly, as if something deeper still stirs below. Geologists cannot fully explain why the gas has not depleted. The fire never dies, and no one knows how far the gas chamber really extends. Halfway across the world, in the Pacific Ocean, lies another anomaly. An underwater volcano off the coast of Japan suddenly appeared in 2013, rising from the sea in an eruption of ash and magma. At first, it was assumed to be temporary, a short-lived island like many others. But this one began to grow, rapidly fusing with nearby Nishinoshima Island. The lava did not stop. In a matter of years, the island expanded dramatically, rewriting maps and baffling scientists. But what truly disturbed researchers was not the eruption. It was what came with it. Seismic sensors recorded unusual patterns, not just from the Earth, but from within the ocean crust itself. The pressure levels were inconsistent, the eruption style chaotic. Satellite thermal imaging showed unexpected heat signatures in the region, patterns that matched no known volcanic behavior. The lava contained chemical compositions never before seen in the region, suggesting it originated from a far deeper layer of Earth's mantle. Some experts began to whisper theories that were once dismissed, that Earth's layers are more fractured than believed, that magma from different depths may be colliding and emerging, or that something unknown is shifting under the Pacific plate. They were not saying it out loud, but they were uneasy. In Canada, deep in the Nahanni Valley of the Northwest Territories, lies a place with a more sinister reputation. The local Dean people long considered the valley cursed, calling it the Valley of the Headless Men, not just a myth. This name was earned. Starting in the early 1900s, dozens of explorers who entered the valley disappeared or were found dead, often headless. The geological part of this story is tied to the land itself. The Nahanni Valley sits on a fault line riddled with hot springs, boiling sulfur pits, and underground cave networks that remain unmapped. In the winter, the valley remains strangely warm due to geothermal activity. This warmth creates dense fogs that blanket the ground, hiding sudden cliffs, steam vents, and unstable ground. Geologists who have studied the area report high levels of seismic noise and unexplained magnetic anomalies. Compasses fail, equipment shuts down, even GPS mapping struggles. The terrain shifts subtly, as if the valley does not want to be understood. Some scientists have suggested the presence of a deep volcanic hotspot beneath the region, one that has not yet erupted, but is slowly destabilizing the land above. But others believe the deaths, the disappearances, and the strange geological phenomena are not just coincidental. There is something buried deep below, something ancient, still moving, still alive in its own way. The Earth remembers, and sometimes it resents. In the heart of Africa, the Richat structure in Mauritania, also called the Eye of the Sahara, has long puzzled geologists. From the ground, it looks like a series of circular ridges stretching over 25 miles wide. But from the air, it becomes terrifying, a perfect spiral, resembling a giant eye looking back into the sky. The structure was once thought to be the result of a meteor strike, but analysis showed no impact materials, no debris fields, and no crater structure. Instead, the Eye of the Sahara appears to have been formed by erosion. But the formation is too symmetrical, too perfect to be natural. Layers of quartzite, volcanic rock, and sedimentary deposits all twist in harmony, as if something beneath had turned the land like soft clay. Worse, when electromagnetic tests were performed, the readings showed energy pulses, intermittent and untraceable. No source was ever found. The structure responds to the environment around it. During lightning storms, the pulses increase. During solar flares, they vanish. The explanation: no one truly has one. But researchers who have spent time near the center of the structure often describe a sensation of intense pressure in the head, nausea, or hallucinations. It is not just a rock formation. It is not just a spiral. It is something else. And that is only the beginning. In Russia's remote Siberian wilderness, another disturbing anomaly appeared, one that has terrified scientists since its discovery. In the Yamal Peninsula, a massive crater suddenly opened in 2014. No warnings, no tremors, just a gaping hole in the permafrost 100 feet across. At first, geologists assumed it was the result of a collapsed sinkhole or a natural gas explosion. But when teams descended into the crater, what they found only deepened the mystery. The interior walls were smooth, almost polished, as if they had been carved. There was no rubble at the base, no debris. Instead, the air was heavy with methane, and the temperature within was several degrees warmer than the surrounding land. Later investigations revealed something more chilling. This was not a single event. Dozens of similar craters had started forming throughout Siberia, often in completely isolated locations. These methane blowholes, as they came to be called, are unlike any known geological process. It is theorized that thawing permafrost releases trapped methane, which builds up pressure until it explodes. But the amount of energy required to create such violent, clean eruptions, and to leave behind perfect, deep cylindrical shafts, is beyond what should be possible at that temperature and pressure. Worse still, satellite footage recorded flashes of light at several sites moments before the craters formed, short bursts of heat with no visible flames. These were not just explosions, they were something more violent, something unfamiliar. The implications are horrifying. It means the Earth is not just warming. Parts of it are destabilizing in violent, unpredictable ways. The land is no longer safe. It can rip itself apart from within, and you will not hear it coming. But it is not just beneath the surface where these anomalies occur. Sometimes they rise from the depths of the ocean, places we still barely understand. In the Caribbean, scientists studying the seafloor near the Cayman Tro stumbled upon one of the most bizarre formations ever recorded, a deep-sea vent known as the BB Vent Field. At over 16,000 feet below sea level, it is among the deepest hydrothermal vent systems on Earth. What makes it disturbing is not just the depth, it is what lives there. These vents spew superheated, mineral-rich fluids that should be deadly to life. Yet, entire ecosystems thrive around them. Creatures without eyes, with translucent bodies, or plated skin, feeding on chemical energy instead of sunlight. But even that was not the strangest part. In 2017, one team reported witnessing the formation of a new vent tower, rising from the seabed in real time, like a growing finger of Earth, pulsing with molten minerals and gases. They recorded vibrations not just in the ground, but in the water, low-frequency hums like distant machinery. When sonar was used to map the surrounding area, they found structures, column-shaped ridges, symmetrically aligned in rows stretching miles across the ocean floor. No known geological process should produce such regular patterns. And yet, there they were. The theory of plate tectonics and mineral venting did not fully explain it. Some began to suspect a deeper geothermal force. Something under the crust was reorganizing the land from below. Others, more quietly, whispered ideas they knew would be ridiculed: ancient underwater constructions, unnatural symmetry, signs of patterns we were never meant to find. Meanwhile, in the United States, the Devil's Kettle in Minnesota continues to defy logic. Located within Judge C.R. Magny State Park, the Brule River splits in two as it approaches a rock formation. One stream continues along the surface as expected. The other stream, however, vanishes into a large hole and disappears. For decades, geologists and hydrologists tried to track where the water goes. Dye tests, pinging devices, even GPS trackers have been dropped into the hole. None have returned. The water seems to vanish into the rock, with no visible outlet. It is as if the river is swallowing itself. Some argue it feeds into a deep, hidden cave system. Others believe it may connect to underground fissures created by ancient glacial movements. But no one has ever proven it. The Devil's Kettle remains a riddle in motion, visible, audible, but impossible to follow. There is something terrifying about not knowing where water goes. We are used to rivers ending in oceans or lakes. We expect systems, maps, patterns. But when water, something so measurable, so traceable, simply vanishes, it breaks more than scientific understanding. It breaks trust in the land itself. In China's Hubei province, an entire mountain has been recorded shifting positions. Not just slow erosion or landslides. This is Mount Tianmen, a mountain that seems to slowly move over years. Satellite imaging over the last 2 decades revealed slight but noticeable changes in the shape and placement of its rock formations. The mountain appears to be rotating counterclockwise, almost as if the entire formation is slowly turning. This has no known precedent. The bedrock itself is not supposed to move in such a coordinated way. Landslides would be random. Erosion would be chaotic. But this movement has form. Flow. A team of Chinese geologists speculated it may be due to deep subterranean stress, massive pockets of pressurized magma, or ancient fault tension. But again, they found no earthquakes, no volcanic activity, and no collapse zones. Just motion. Quiet, slow, relentless motion. The earth is not still. It breathes. It reshapes. And sometimes it leaves behind questions that no textbook can answer. These anomalies are not stories from forgotten ages or myths passed down through generations. They are here, now, and they are changing faster than anyone expected. And if the ground we walk on cannot be trusted, what else have we misunderstood? There is a strange region in southern Africa that has puzzled geologists, physicists, and historians alike. It lies in the Kalahari Desert, near the border between Botswana and Namibia. It is not marked on ordinary tourist maps, but for those who know where to look. It is known simply as the Klerksdorp Sphere Zone. Here, buried in layers of 3 billion-year-old pyrophyllite rock, miners have unearthed hundreds of metallic spheres. Most are only a few centimeters wide, with perfect symmetry and precise ridges carved around their equators. At first glance, they look man-made, like tiny metallic planets forged in a machine. But the rock they were embedded in predates human civilization by billions of years. Some scientists believe they are natural concretions formed under rare geological conditions. Others are not convinced. The ridges are too exact, the shapes too perfect. Metallurgical analysis has shown that the spheres are composed of a nickel-steel alloy, resistant to corrosion and far more uniform than what would be expected in natural formations of that age. And then there is the most unsettling part. In the 1970s, when some of the spheres were placed in vibration-free cabinets at a research facility, they were observed to rotate on their own axis. No airflow, no seismic activity, just a slow, steady turn without explanation. The research was never published in formal journals. The results were dismissed. But the miners still talk. They say the spheres are not stones at all, but remnants of what no one dares to say. Far to the north in Iceland, a different geological anomaly hides in plain sight. Eyjafjallajökull National Park is known for its stunning landscapes and dramatic rift valleys. But what most visitors do not realize is that it is one of the only places on Earth where you can walk directly between two continental plates. The North American and Eurasian tectonic plates meet here, not beneath the ocean, but on dry land, and they are pulling apart. Each year, the rift widens by about 2.5 centimeters. That sounds small, but the valley has become vast and fractured, with deep crevices forming new pathways through the earth. Pools of crystal, clear glacial water fill the cracks, and divers can swim through this no man's land between continents. It is a place of beauty and dread, because the plates are not just separating, they are weakening. The underlying mantle in this area has begun to rise faster than predicted, causing geothermal pressure to build. Volcanic activity is increasing. In 2021, a dormant volcano just southwest of Reykjavik erupted for the first time in 800 years. Scientists now believe more eruptions are coming, perhaps not years apart, but months, even weeks. Some worry that the Divenveller Rift is becoming unstable. The land itself could eventually collapse into new fissures, creating a chain of sinkholes that spread across Iceland. One wrong shift, and the ground could open like a wound. But Iceland is not alone in its instability. In Mexico, near the city of Puebla, a strange phenomenon began in 2012. Residents started reporting the sound of rumbling under the ground. They assumed it was minor earthquakes, but there were no tremors detected by local seismic stations. Then, in the middle of a cornfield, a crack appeared. Within days, it grew into a hole over 30 feet wide and hundreds of feet deep, and it kept growing. The Puebla sinkhole became a national mystery. Engineers measured its expansion rate, over a meter per day at times. Houses were swallowed. Entire roads vanished. The hole was not circular or stable. It pulsed, expanding unevenly, releasing deep groans as layers of earth fell away. Researchers found underground rivers, possibly formed by water from industrial farms weakening the limestone bedrock. But they also discovered older cavities, voids that had been forming for centuries, waiting for one final disruption. And here is the unsettling part. There are more. Across central Mexico, similar sinkholes are now appearing, some in open fields, others beneath homes and schools. The entire region appears to be hollowing out. But the maps do not show it. The government says there is no large-scale danger, yet satellite imaging tells a different story. The land is sinking, quietly, steadily, like an exhale you do not hear until it is too late. In Ethiopia's Afar Triangle, another crisis brews. This region, part of the Great Rift Valley, is tearing itself apart faster than almost any other place on Earth. The ground is splitting visibly, and a new ocean may be forming. One day, Ethiopia could be divided in two, with a seaway running through what is now desert. In 2005, a fissure 60 kilometers long opened in just 10 days, something geologists once thought would take hundreds or thousands of years. Lava poured from deep vents, forming new crust before their eyes. But the real terror came in what followed. New fissures have opened since. The ground cracks without warning. Entire villages must move, and as the rift expands, the possibility of a catastrophic flood grows. If seawater finds its way inland, it could trigger seismic chaos. And perhaps the most terrifying idea of all, the Earth is not finished changing. These events are not isolated. They are signs of a planet alive. We tend to think of land as permanent, solid, safe. But these anomalies prove otherwise. The Earth mutates, evolves, collapses. It stretches its skin and opens its bones. It hides secrets beneath deserts, ice, and oceans. And when it chooses to reveal them, it does so without mercy. In the heart of the Indian Ocean, an invisible anomaly is dragging satellites out of position, confusing navigational systems, and altering Earth's magnetic field. This is the South Atlantic anomaly, but its effects reach far beyond the South Atlantic. One of its deepest roots lies under the Indian Ocean, and it is known to scientists as the Indian Ocean Geoid Low. It sounds harmless, just a depression in Earth's gravity field. But this anomaly is far from benign. It represents the lowest point in Earth's gravitational field, where satellites flying overhead sink slightly toward Earth, causing technical malfunctions, timing disruptions, and in some cases, unexplained electronic failures. There is no mountain, no hole, no crater, nothing visible to suggest what lies beneath. But gravity does not lie. Something massive is pulling Earth's surface down from deep within the mantle. Geologists believe a dense mass of ancient oceanic crust is buried beneath the mantle here, far deeper than should be possible. It was likely pushed under the Indian subcontinent during a supercontinent breakup over 200 million years ago. But no one expected that it would still exist, still have mass, and still be active. Seismic waves behave strangely when passing through the area. They slow down, bend, and in some cases, scatter as if bouncing off an object with complex edges. It is almost as if something massive and solid, denser than iron, rests under the crust, affecting the very shape of the planet above it. What truly disturbs researchers is this: the anomaly is growing. Slowly, the depression is spreading westward. Its gravitational reach is increasing. If this continues, it could eventually distort satellite orbits on a global scale. If satellites fall out of sync, so does the global internet, navigation systems, weather monitoring. Everything. And the cause remains hidden, buried miles beneath our feet. On the other side of the world, another anomaly causes a different kind of fear. In Antarctica, scientists working on ice core drilling stumbled upon a place called Lake Vostok, one of the largest subglacial lakes on Earth, buried under more than 2 miles of solid ice. For over 15 million years, the lake has remained untouched by light, atmosphere, or life as we know it. In 2012, a Russian team finally breached the ice and collected water samples. What they found defied expectations. Strange microbial life forms existed in the lake, organisms that shared no genetic match with known species on the surface. Some of them produced enzymes that could digest metals, while others released methane, possibly explaining odd gas pockets detected earlier in the region. But that is not all. When scanning the lakebed with radar, scientists discovered large, dome-like structures at the bottom, symmetrical, artificial-looking. Theories exploded: ancient alien bases, undiscovered civilizations, or natural mineral formations mimicking architecture. The truth remains locked in ice. What makes the anomaly even more unnerving is the magnetic field above Lake Vostok. It behaves erratically. Compasses spin, sensors freeze, and electronics die. Pilots are told never to fly directly over the lake. For decades, the area was classified by the Soviet military. Even now, some data from the expeditions has not been made public. There is something under the ice, something that has never been exposed to human eyes. Back in the United States, in Wyoming, lies Yellowstone, one of the most famous geological formations in the world. What most people know is that Yellowstone is a national park built on a supervolcano. What many do not realize is just how unstable it has become. Beneath the park is a magma chamber larger than originally believed, stretching for over 40 miles. If it were to erupt, it could blanket the United States in ash and change global weather for years. But it is not just the possibility of eruption that disturbs scientists, it is the recent behavior. The ground is rising. Since 2004, parts of Yellowstone have been slowly bulging upward at rates far beyond normal. In some areas, the land has risen over 10 inches. Geysers that were dormant for decades are suddenly erupting. Mud pots are becoming more acidic, and tremor swarms. Dozens of tiny earthquakes clustered together are becoming more frequent. None of these events by themselves confirm an eruption is imminent, but together they paint a disturbing picture. The supervolcano beneath Yellowstone is not dead. It is moving, breathing, waking up. Scientists use the term active caldera system to describe it. But what does that mean for us? It means we are living on a fuse, one that has burned before and will burn again. The last major eruption occurred 640,000 years ago. We are overdue. There is no way to stop it, no technology to prevent it. If it erupts, the world changes overnight. Then there is Mount Erebus in Antarctica, one of the most active volcanoes on Earth, yet barely known outside geological circles. What makes Erebus unique is not just its location. It is the fact that it has a persistent lava lake that never cools, even in temperatures below -50 degrees Celsius. The volcano emits strange noises, low-frequency sounds that resemble moans or deep growls. Seismic microphones have recorded tones unlike anything from other volcanoes. Some researchers have likened it to sonar pings, rhythmic and repeating. In 2003, a team studying Erebus claimed to find geometric crystals in the gas vents, perfectly formed hexagonal patterns created not by cooling lava, but by some unknown process deep within the Earth. These structures should not exist. And yet they do. Mount Erebus is remote, harsh, and deadly to explore. Most of it remains unmapped. Satellite scans show heat signatures beneath its slopes that suggest secondary chambers, hidden lava tubes, or perhaps entire subsurface networks still forming. Some believe Erebus is a gateway, not a portal, but a geological vent to a deeper realm of Earth's core we have not yet classified. Whatever it is, it behaves like nothing else on the planet. All around the world, the Earth is showing signs. Ancient forces are moving. New structures are rising from the depths. The land itself shifts in ways we cannot always see, cannot always explain. These are not random events. They are patterns. And the more we discover, the more one truth becomes undeniable: we are not in control. The Earth has its own rhythm, its own rage, its own secrets, and it is not finished with us. There is a place in Romania called the Movile Cave. It was sealed off from the surface world for over 5.5 million years. When it was accidentally discovered by workers digging for a power plant in 1986, scientists thought it would be just another empty cavern. Instead, they found one of the most disturbing geological ecosystems on the planet. Inside Movile Cave, the air is toxic. It contains 100 times more hydrogen sulfide and up to 10% carbon dioxide, levels that would kill a human within minutes without breathing gear. Yet, life thrives there. Dozens of species, including spiders, leeches, centipedes, and water scorpions, have evolved in complete darkness, completely isolated from the outside world. Many are translucent, blind, and chemically adapted to breathe the poisonous atmosphere. Over 30 species found inside exist nowhere else on Earth. But what truly terrifies biologists is how these creatures survive. Unlike all known ecosystems that rely on sunlight, this one does not. Instead, it is based entirely on chemosynthesis, bacteria feeding off the toxic gases, creating the base of the food chain. That means life formed here not just without light, but in an environment hostile to everything we consider necessary for survival. This cave proves that Earth can create ecosystems completely foreign to our biology, alien worlds beneath our own feet.